Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Shay Explores Daily, and today we've got another video. I am standing here in front of one of the most famous museums in the world, the British Museum. It is a very controversial place, but we're going to have a look and see what's going on inside. We're going to look at the history, the artifacts, and so on and so forth. In the meantime, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've got many more cool videos coming. Walk with me, let's go. A little bit of history. This museum goes back to, I believe, 1753, which makes it older than the USA. Sorry to all my US followers. Inside of here, there's over 8 million pieces of artifacts and pieces of research in here. We're gonna go inside and have a look now. And did you know that also at one point was also a tube station, a train station underneath here as well? Let's go inside. So guys, as you walk into the museum, the first thing you'll see is this amazing square behind me, this amazing area behind me. This is called the Queen Elizabeth II Court. So this actually is the largest open public court in the whole of Europe. And I believe it was designed, I can't remember when, but it's been around for quite a long time. And it actually has, or I don't know if it's still got it, the record for the largest indoor area that you can see on Google Maps. It has gone through a recent development, I think as recently as 2020. But one thing you'll like about it is the very cool roof structure on top. And if you're in a building high above London, in this area, you can actually see the structure of this court from the outside, and it looks absolutely amazing. So I think it's a fantastic part of this museum. So in the Egyptian section that I'm standing in, it's got over 3,000 years of history, and I think over 100,000 pieces of artifacts just in this one section. So this monument behind me is called the Nerid Monument, which I believe is a replica of an 1840s monument from the Ottoman Empire, which is now known as Turkey. I believe there was an explorer who looked at one and decided to bring the exact replica here to the British Museum. As you can see, it is quite big, but seeing it on video doesn't actually do it justice. Basically, it's a really cool piece of history inside the museum. See, as you can see here, this illustrates each part of the actual monument. So number 7 basically illustrates, which is up here, which illustrates a siege of a city. So as you walk around the monument, you'll see a variety of sculptures, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they are replicas of actual battles that the Ottomans had during that era. So this section that I'm in is called the Parthenian section, which is dedicated to all things to do with ancient Greece, past and present. So if you've been to Athens, you would have seen the actual Acropolis, basically, the actual structure itself and what's around it. So everything in here actually pays tribute to the history of ancient Greece and explains the reason as to why things are the way they are. It's actually interesting because a lot of ideas from ancient Greece were brought back to Britain and are seen in some of our infrastructure around the country. But it's a very cool part of the museum to have a look at. So in this room here is the West Pediment, and everything that's in this pediment are sculptures that would go around a typical Greek temple in historical times. There's quite a large variety of designs, which is really cool. But in here you'll see, as you can see behind me, it goes all the way back, a massive variety of Greek sculptures. So guys, the first part of the museum regarding the Egyptians and the Greeks is done. I'm going to go into this bit behind me. It's called the Sainsbury Exhibition Unit, I believe it's called. Let's go inside and have a look. So in this section here, it has various artifacts that are dedicated to various parts of the world. On one side, I believe you've got Africa, and the other side you've got, I believe, like the Asia Pacific region, so like New Zealand, Australia, Kiribati, and so on. A very cool fun fact actually, Kiribati is the only country on Earth that is located in all 4 hemispheres. Very cool fact. So guys, I've just popped upstairs, and in this section, everything on this section here is dedicated to the continent of Asia, with this part specifically being dedicated to South Asia, specifically India. Looking at the most recent history, you can see from here, from the first European arrival in 1498, up until just before the 21st century, in which East Pakistan declared independence and renamed itself Bangladesh. So this section that I'm in is dedicated to China and Chinese artifacts, basically. There's so much to see that goes back to the Qing Dynasty era. Behind me is what we call a gentleman's room, which was typical during the 13 to 1900s back in Korea. Historically, these are part of Confucian principles, which were typical of the laws back then. Nowadays, you don't really see it as much, but it is cool to see because it's very, very well designed with great architecture, but yet so simple. So as you can see it from another angle there, this was actually built, I believe, in 2000. And everything from the furniture to the layout and everything is actually influenced by Confucian principles. So everything in this section is dedicated to the beautiful island of Cyprus. So some of you know today it's been divided into the Greek part and the Turkish part, but the history of Cyprus goes way, way, way beyond that. Due to the history of the island, the people of Cyprus, the Cypriot people over the centuries, have spoken a variety of other languages, including Greek and many other kinds of languages also. So behind me you can see a map of the Roman Empire at its largest size. And as you can see, it actually extends into Britain. So many years ago, Britain was invaded by the Romans, and areas like Colchester and Essex, you can see remnants of the Roman period, such as the roads and so on. So as you can see here, at the time, the empire covered at its maximum peak an area of 3 million square kilometers and had about 75 million inhabitants stretched across Europe, Asia and Africa. As I mentioned, the Roman Empire expanded east to cover areas like Turkey, Syria and Greece. Now this was massive because essentially it gave them the whole control of this Mediterranean area here, meaning that trade between these areas was only done within the Roman Empire, which included things such as foods, clay, artwork and so on. This section behind me talks about the Romans' invasion of Egypt. Now Egypt had one important thing that Rome wanted, which was the River Nile. The River Nile allowed them to take things such as corn and other exports out of the country because the river made the land very, very fertile for crops and so on. So the Romans were allowed to take out corn and other kinds of materials from Egypt and bring them back to Rome. These statues here represent Roman Syrians who lived, I believe, in the era between 50 to 270 AD. So this part of the museum is one part that I've looked forward to. This is everything to do with Roman Britain. So some of you know, as you know already, the Romans were actually in Britain for a period of time. And the Romans laid down their steps in a variety of places in the country, one of them being Colchester in Essex. I'm going to have a little look around now this exhibition part here and show you some really, really cool things that are in here. So here you can see a map of Roman Britain and all the roads that they made. Obviously London's here, but you've got a variety of roads and networks that they help to set up across the country that goes up to the east of England, down to the south coast and up north as well. One of the great Roman inventions is pottery. Now pottery, as you know, is something that has developed over a period of time, but the Romans were the ones who created it and learned to perfect it. So what was pottery used for? So pottery was used for containers and also plates and other ways of serving food. As time's gone on, it has developed obviously and has been used in other areas, but the foundations were actually used to develop like bowls and so on. Behind me you've got an example of an ancient Roman tomb. I believe this was for someone who was, I believe, a ruler in ancient Britain during that period. On the tomb itself, you can see Roman numerals and Roman writing on there. I'm not sure what it actually reads, but you can actually see a little backstory below it, detailing what happened and the backstory behind it. And it's just interesting to see because although this was many, many centuries ago, it still has a lasting impact on us here in Britain, obviously the Roman era. This section here talks about the Iron Age in Britain and the ideas that the Romans brought to Britain and the inspiration that they got from it. From their time here, obviously their conquest. In this exhibition you'll see a variety of materials and so on, which are very, very cool. During this era as well, you saw a huge increase in the number of excavations for things like gold, iron, and so on. Basically, these were used to make things such as helmets, swords, jewelry, and other kinds of really, really cool pieces of fine art as well. So guys, this section of the museum, I believe, is dedicated to the age of exploration. So this covers any time between, I think, between 1600 and 1800s, and this is the oldest part of the museum. It was actually given to King George III, I think it was, by his son, basically. And what it is basically books and artifacts of literally bits and bobs which help to show how European and sort of like American like nations pretty much came together to sort of form how the world is interconnected today. So it's really, really cool. That is it, guys, for today's video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe, and let me know where should I go next. I've got many more cool videos coming. Put your suggestions down below and I'll see you on the next video.